what I love about it more than anything, that the fact that going from strength to strength, that we're giving other kids, as well as our own kids, the chance to get on the platform, which they're grateful, because there's not enough work out there for them.
You know, we're just promoting the Liverpool fighters, not just our fighters, but whole of Liverpool fighters. You know, got no small old venues, so this is perfect, ideal. And as you've seen the show which is coming up, we've got lads from all over the Merseyside area with boxing. You know, we've got some great kids from ERT, which is a great camp. Paul Stevenson, they bring them all together now, doing these shows and showcasing the talents.
Just every fighter that ever come out of Liverpool somewhere along the line had something to do or had been in the Everton Red Triangle, and people, when they were visiting Liverpool, ex-boxers, they always made a beeline for Everton Triangle. It's a legendary place.
Welcome to the Black Flash Boxing channel. I'm October Red, and today I'm joined by no other than Paul Stevenson from the Red Triangle Gym in Liverpool. Paul, welcome to the show.
Thanks, nice to be here.
Today we're going to talk about your fighters, how long you've been in boxing, the fact that you've pushed your fighters through some of Pat's shows on the Black Flash promotion side, and how they've ended up progressing their professional career. We're going to touch on some of your fighters. I know that you've had in the past Kevin Satchel, Ryan, is it Farage?
Yeah, Farage, yeah.
Jazza Dickens and Stephen Lewis. Talk to us a little bit about your training style with them, how they came across to be in your gym and you developing them as a fighter.
Well, those three are sort of, we term Farage and Satchel were both amateurs at our gym, and Jazza Dickens had been an amateur who I'd worked with briefly on sort of England camps, and that's all he knew us. They're good amateurs, the three of them, so they came to us to turn pro, and we got them started, and the three of them did very well. Kevin was the first of the champions to come from them. He won the Commonwealth belt, and then he won the British title, and then he won the European title, all quite quick after each other. Ryan Farage, we took to European champion, he won that title. James Dickens with us became British champion, and so straight away we found we'd had success, but we'd had a lot of success with the amateur boxers before then, so it's quite natural to turn with them. And then little by little, life moves fighters around, they go where they go, but we always have fighters coming through us one after another, so the next sort of phase started coming through, and we work with them, and you know, we're having good results, and at the minute we've got three poised now. We've just recently signed with Frank Warren, who are poised to be going into them title fights in the years to come.
Yeah, we're going to touch on that, because there seems to be, you know, a good progression where you've had some fighters and then they've ended up being signed by Frank Warren. So talk to me a little bit about, you know, you deciding to become a boxing coach, because you sort of like you were a coach at quite a young age, yeah. 28, I believe that you said.
Yeah, about 26, yeah. What happened was I used to box with the Red Triangle, and then I got a detached retina, so I lost pretty much all the sight in my right eye. The surgery went like it was now. Then I had 2 operations, one didn't work, and then finally it did. So I stopped boxing at a young age, at about 21. And then at about 25, I just ran into a chance meeting with one of the old coaches, well, the fellow who ran the place, and it had gone down, didn't have many boxes. So he asked, look, do you fancy coming along and having a go? So I thought I was just going to go and help. But when I got there, I was sort of, there's the gym, I'll run it, you know what I mean, on your own, pretty much. Although it was Joe Curran, was the fella's name, who owned it. He was there in the background, but it was pretty much left to me to the nuts and bolts, and there wasn't much of a squad either. So we had to build it up from scratch. But and it takes a couple of years to build a national champion, even in the amateurs, because the competition's stiff, if you know what I mean. It's hard to do. So, but gradually after a couple of years, I get my first champion, then another, and then over the years we turned out some outstanding boxers. Probably must have had over 50 national champions in the amateurs. And then as a sort of, it wasn't my desire to become one thing or another, but I'm just there to teach the fighters as we go. Enjoy doing it. But then the lads come to me who come to the amateur system, our amateur system, and after we would turn them pro, a couple of them, some that you mentioned, Ryan Farag and Kevin Satchel. And so we did that, and then we found we had a lot of success with that, and then before you know it, the pro side of the gym's booming. You've got fighters coming and going, and yeah, and it's gone well from there. We've been involved in probably a ton of title fights, from British, European, Commonwealth, world title fights, all the way up. You gain a ton of experience and knowledge along the way. So it's been great.
Yeah, you're gaining all of that experience, but you're also gaining a reputation for the gym, because you also, like you said, you boxed out of that gym. You ended up obviously retiring and then coming back as a coach, and it was sort of like, in the deep end. Yeah. There it is. You know what you're doing. Let's start building fighters.
Yeah, I mean that gym's 100 years old. Our gym, it's been going since 1920. Is the earliest we can date it to, and it's just I look at myself as a custodian of it now. It's doing well. It's in a nice period. It's going great. So it's just nice to be doing it.
Yeah. So then taking it over, then it becoming your gym. Yeah. Talk to me about the process of that, and like you said, it took you a while to start building it back up.
Yeah.
What happened? Like you said, it went a bit downhill, and then about the effort that you had to put in to get it back up there and really start pushing some fighters out of that gym.
Yeah, I mean the effort required is massive, and it's not just me. So we have backroom staff as well, but they took time to recruit. I had to recruit them from family, friends, people who you trust, but you've got standards as well, so they've got to be the right people. You as the person sort of driving it, if you like, it takes a certain level of until you've done it yourself. And sometimes I look back and I think, how do you get so far? With me, everything's in the future. I'm looking at what's coming next, and I very rarely look back at successes and things like that, and never look in the mirror, if you know what I mean, if you use a driving analogy. And it takes proper determination and resilience, because boxing keeps kicking you in the stomach, let's say, keeps finding new ways of doing it, and you have to be sort of clever, careful, creative, and lucky, and sometimes as well. And
lucky is a word that I hear often in boxing. It's a word that is used so much. So you're building up these fighters, and we're going to push, slightly forward to the fighters that you've got now. We're going to talk about Nick Ball, Brad Strand, and Andrew Cain, who all started in the Red Triangle. Talk to me about how they push through their career, and it leads on to basically you forming your relationship with Pat Barrett, and how you push them through their professional career, and Pat Barrett being part of that process.
Okay, they were three of our three outstanding amateurs. Them were Liverpool's best amateurs. Bradley Strand was a 4-time national champion, ABA champion. Nick Ball was a 3-time champion. Andrew Cain was a 4-time champion. Andrew was at the Red Triangle since he was 11. Bradley since he was about 17, and Nick as a pro. So he came for this first pro fight, and at the time, it's difficult to get these lads out. I've got a great product. I've got these outstanding boxers. I can see the quality in them. They've proved themselves over the years in the amateurs, and I've had them in the gym, and they're looking good and they're learning fast, and I can tell I've got something good. So, but it's difficult to get them out, especially modern promoters. It's a lot of who you know, and even then there's a lot of competition for slots. So I remember working with I phoned Pat. I noticed he had a show on, and I'd only met him a couple of times, because although I'd watched him he's a bit older than me, not much, but he's a bit older than me. So I'd watched him growing up in the ring. Always thought he was a great fighter. So he had we've been up sparring a couple of times at the gym with various fighters, and so when it come time with these, I was looking for slots on shows. So I rang Pat and I said, look, I've got these boxers, can you get them on any of your shows just as a favour? And he did, he's great, he didn't have to, he had his own boxers. And I struck up a good relationship with Pat. I always found them honourable people. Are quite hard to find in boxing. And he was like that, honourable and generous and a nice fella, and I got on well with him. So we started putting our lads on his shows, excuse me. And then he says, after a while, he says, look, can see the situation you're in, you can put your shows on. I've got like 7 pros in the gym. He's saying you might as well run the shows yourself, you know, with Black Flash, but I'll help you and you can help me, and we'll put them on together, and we'll build these fighters and build the brand and your own brand and the Black Flash brand and the Everton Red Triangle brand and everything else. Come on. So we did it, and after a while we went down, me and Pat and those 3 boxers, down to Frank Warren's office, signed up the boys there, got them televised deals, so they're just working through that now. That's all done, and they're just starting that sort of new phase of the career. In boxing early on, you've got the small shows are where you sort of typically learn your trade. No one's really watching them. Well, the people who are there are watching them, of course, but then they don't get the big platform but you need them, because you can make your mistakes off camera. You can get used to this. Pro boxing is a lot different than amateur boxing, a lot different, everything about it. And it takes a little bit of time for the boxers to get used to it.
To adjust,
yeah. That's it. So it's been brilliant. I couldn't have asked for more from Pat. Pat got, when we went, took those lads down to sign, Pat got himself out of bed at 5 o'clock, drove all the way to Liverpool, 5 o'clock in the morning, all the way to Liverpool with us for no monetary gain, no nothing. We went down to Frank Warren's office, all of us, and then we drove all the way back, and it was a long day, all for nothing, just not good enough desire to give us the right introduction. That's the type of person he is. He looks, when you meet him, he looks mean, doesn't he, Pat? Like he'd kill you if you. But you know what? I've never met I've never found him like that. He's always been proper, warm, funny. My little girl, he's on. She's on. I'm on the phone to Pat. She wants to speak to everyone. I'm on the phone to. Can I say hello to Pat? So there you go, Pat. And I hear Pat in all the way years like that going, hello, little one, hello, and all that. He's got a soft heart, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah, he's quite. He wants to help people.
Yeah, he does.
And we're talking about now. You know, we've got the news that we're coming out of lockdown. You know, the shows are going to be coming back. Obviously, your last 3 fighters we were just discussing. Yeah. They're now with Frank Warren. Who else have you got coming through? Who else are you going to be putting on the Black Flash shows? Well,
it remains to be seen, because we have like the pro team in the gym, and it's supported by a strong amateur team. But they're not in the gym at the minute, the amateur team. So, yeah. But I have got a couple of top amateurs at the minute. One, Peter McGrail, who's he's just qualified for the Olympics that he'll go to this year. He's one of only 2 to qualify.
Congratulations.
Thanks. But he's been with us since he's been 11. He's outstanding. He's a talent, and he's gonna. I predict massive things for him. He's already medalled in. He's got. I think he's won a European gold. He's won Commonwealth gold. He's won bronzes in the World Championships twice. I think he's medalled in every single major tournament that there is out there in the world. And so he's ranked, I think, top 3 in the world at the minute. Brilliant, outstanding. Then he's got a younger brother, Joe, as well, who's coming through, who's, again, had real success at amateur level. National titles and European titles and things like that. So they're sort of the next couple of real top quality ones who are gonna come through.
So with your fights then, your fighters, how many bouts do you like them to have of amateur before you say, okay, let's turn over, let's think about pro? Because obviously Peter's going to the Olympics. What an absolute opportunity for him. Yeah. How many years will he spend in the Olympics before, you know, he decides, okay, we're going to turn from Olympian to professional boxer? Yeah,
it's a good question, because and the answer is different for everyone. And I, as a trainer, you know, I never approach the boxer me, and I might approach them and say, have you considered your future, what your options are, and talk about that. But it's up to the boxer, because Peter McGrail, who we mentioned, he come through with Andrew Cain and some of them other good boxers to the amateurs, same age, but it was his dream to go to the Olympics and win a gold medal. So, well, you've got my backing then, so that's what we do with him. So the conversation of pro boxing doesn't even get entered with Peter. Andrew, at the same time, was 18. He didn't really love the amateur scene that much. He just wanted to turn pro. It depends. And some boxers are too young for it. Some are too old for it. Some aren't right mentally for it. Some are, you know, qualities that get you through in the amateurs can hinder you in the pros, or vice versa. Here's one, you know, quite often because the amateur boxing is based on you can get by without being great.
It's come forward, isn't it?
Yeah, and you can get by on fitness and energy, you know, and so sometimes you're not getting, say you're a big kid for your age in the amateurs, and so you're boxing these physically inferior kids, and you're beating them and you're doing well, and maybe you get a bit flash and you make mistakes, but they don't make you pay. And then suddenly you turn pro and you're approaching the same way and you do get made to pay, and all the years that you didn't spend learning the techniques catch up with you and haunt you every fight. And you see it all the time, top amateurs, and they don't turn into good pros. And so it's a bit of a you know, if you're a sculptor, every piece of rock's different, isn't it? You're scared to hit some in case it'll shatter. Others, you know, and boxers, I find are like that as well. Just so the answer is that there's no answer in that. Every single one of them's different, if you know what I mean. So
how can you tell then? I know you've got the experience. When you know that somebody's either made to either just stay in the amateurs and, you know, this is for you. Yeah. Maybe think about the Olympics, or no, there's something about you. It's good for you to turn pro. Yeah. How do you read the fighter? Like you said, the amateurs is more, you know, you're coming forward, not really having to pay, not really expecting someone to actually dazzle you back with their shots. And then they're going into the pro game and all of a sudden he's hitting me back, he's moving out the way, he's rolling all my shots. How do you then say to that fighter, look, okay, probably amateur's best for you, don't go into pro yet, or another fighter, yeah, pro's for you.
We're working with these boxers from young men, so they're in the gym every night, and then you take them out and you give them tests. So and you see how they react to pressure situations, and how they react to, even on a technical level, how they react to height, how they react to southpaws, how they react to losing 3 on the bounce, how they react to tough sparring, how they react to getting beat, stopped, knocked out maybe, you know, all these little tests, you're seeing it and you're assessing it's ongoing. Once you're doing that, I suppose if you're a jeweler, you can look at a tray full of glass and pick out the diamonds, can't you? And I couldn't pick out a diamond from a piece of glass, but I mean, but I can pick out. Yeah, in boxing I can. Yeah, I can, and I think good trainers can. And I mean, some are just outstanding. You can't help but see it. Like if you picked up Sugar Ray Robinson as a kid, you know, any fool could say this is a special kid, but some aren't special in obvious ways. Like I've got some who are tough mentally, but maybe so they might come under the radar of gifted fighters. They might not have won national titles in the amateurs. They might have done all right, but when you've got 12-round fights and the brutal fights, and you've got someone who doesn't get swayed when it gets difficult, someone who keeps on, that's such a strength. And you get overlooked in the amateurs, and you wouldn't win titles, and you wouldn't do nothing else. But when you turn them pro, suddenly this fella's mopping them up because he's got something that was overlooked. Not overlooked by me or by good trainers who would see it, you know, and recognise it as a quality, you know. But yeah,
it's like the judging style with the fights, isn't it? It's completely different from the amateurs to the pro. Yeah, they look for different things, don't they? Yeah. Like you said, somebody might not have got any titles in the amateurs or whatever, but when they turn over, it's like you can really see them shine. Yeah.
Well, this is one of the things I do. It's a good point you've touched on, because almost the first thing I do with a new pro is I sit them down to watch some fights every morning. We sit and watch fights with the boxers, only a little half hour or so, a couple of lessons for the day. But I'll sit them down and say, this scoring isn't like you used to. You get scored in amateur boxing, mostly on, well, nowadays you get it mostly on just clean punching. But in the pro boxing, you get scored on in sort of 4 categories. You get clean punching, effective aggression, defence, and ring generalship. And it's subjective. You can pick what you sort of like, and you know, and the way the points are done. So I'll sit them down and say, we're going to score a couple of these fights so that you can see how it's done and look at how the scorecards come out and the types of things you're looking for. We are all human, so you know these judges are the same thing. You win the last 30 seconds of the round, you're more likely to get the round than if you'd won the first 30. You know what I mean? These small things, and they've seen themselves being swayed, so they know how judges. They got an idea how judges work, and so they almost know where they are in a fight. I always know as much as you can know where I am in a fight. I score fights in real time while I'm in the corner, but they don't have to do that. But at the same time, I don't like them to have any surprises. How didn't I win that fight? Well, you know how, you know. That's one of them.
That is a really good way of looking at it. I've spoken to a few people, and it's almost like you've got a judge's head on when you're in the corner with your fighter. So you can go out and give them the advice to say, look, okay, we want to win this round. So you've got to use those 4 principles that you've just gone over and make sure you're getting those in. So the judges can see that. And if it does end up going to points, split decision, they can sway it to you.
Yeah, you've got to know where you are, because if it's, there's a million things you could tell your boxer in the corner, but sometimes what they need to hear is, we need these last 3 rounds, or we're finished, we need these last 3, or it's over. Never mind, keep your right up, never mind, circle left. Look, this is the score from the way I'm reading it, and you better be good at it as well, because if you're getting it wrong and and you're telling your fighter he's up, and when he's coasting and he loses the fight, you're to blame. Or vice versa, you're telling me he's down, your boxer's down, you've got to press on, he goes and gets hurt, but it turns out he really would have been up. You've got to get it right, That's a really good IQ. It's different IQ now. It's different IQ of boxing, because it's the trainer's point of view. I really like that, and that's why I guess you've got those fighters that are outstanding, because you've taught them from grassroots. You're going to start to learn how to judge fights. And when you know how to judge fights, you know what will win fights. Okay, we can get the knockout, but sometimes we won't. Now you've got to look at points. You've got to look at scoring those points. And it's getting that mindset from when they're amateurs. It's something I believe in doing anyway. I try to prepare them for the things they won't have had yet, but they will have. There's in a lot of ways which you might not be obvious from the outside. Even the psychology of a stoppage, how to go for the kill, or things that the energy that would take, in boxing, for example, in football, the game's always 90 minutes, and in a 100-meter race, it's always 100 meters, and you know where you are. But in boxing, the finish line can pop up straight away, right in front of you. You've hit him, boom, he's gone. There's the finish line. I'll run at it, but you run at it. The habit of disappearing again, those finishing lines, and the fella recovers, and then you put a lot of energy in, and that's took a lot out of me, and I finished there, and it often goes against you. You've got to train, I believe, to go for that. So your training should be bang, bang, bang. Here's the door. Let's go, and then to recover, and then go at it again. That's just a tiny little example, but I suppose that's how you look at it, isn't it? The perspective that you have.
I'd like to see your training. I'd like to come up to your gym and see your actual conditioning training for your fighters, because like you said, if they're going in for the kill, and we've seen it in boxing matches where miraculously the opponent starts to recover, and then it's like, okay, your fighter's drained out a lot of their energy because they've put the pressure on, because they've been really letting their shots go, and then to be able to say, okay, we've got to start to, dress back, because we need those rounds to recover.
Well, if you go to most gyms, going for the kill is never practiced, because when you're sparring, sparring's done with good nature, and when you hurt someone in sparring, you usually step off. You don't go in and keep finishing.
Sparring,
and so it's not something that gets practiced. The last time you went for the kill was probably your last fight, and that might have been a few months ago, and then here you are again doing it. So you've got to understand what it's going to take to do it, and then put it in place so that it's ready, so that when it does happen on the night, and bang, 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 and they can go at it. They're trained to do it. Do you know what I mean? It's not like it's not just chance that they're able to do it. They've envisaged or have envisaged what comes and what is likely to happen in their or any other career, or the type of things that are common, and be ready for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to see that training, because that's something that I'm really interested in. Your sparring, do you have those real toe-to-toe where they do go in for the kill? And I know you can't discuss sparring and details in tactics, but do you have that type of sparring where you'll say to your fighter, as soon as they can smell blood, go in and finish him?
It's tricky, because you don't want wars in the gym, because so much of the damage that gets done to boxers is
in sparring.
Yeah, because you spar, some spar every day, they all have their own sort of ritual and routine that you'll go through. When we spar with our own boxers, we tend to be...
You're more courteous,
yeah,
aren't you?
That's it, yeah. And you don't want them hurt, and you don't want them... And then but you do want to add spar now and then, because as you said, you've got to... These are the things, when you're having an hard spar, the things in boxing that are tiring, it's not when you're landing and you're doing well and you're having to move around, it's when you're missing and you're getting caught back, and it's not going your way, and it is tiring mentally, physically. It's good to replicate that from time to time, but without letting them smash each other's heads in. So it's just throwing a nice fine line.
Finding that balance, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
I could talk to you about training all day. You know, it's something that I'm really passionate about. But we're going to talk about, obviously, moving forward. What are the plans that you've got? I know that a couple of yours are going to possibly go to the Olympics. Yeah. So, like a 2-year plan then for Paul Stevenson at the Red Triangle. Yeah. What do you see happening in the near future for your fighters? And obviously working with Pat once again. And then it's sort of like this conveyor belt that you guys have got going. Yeah. You know, the teamwork between Liverpool and Manchester. Well, traditionally, it's been a strained relationship between the two cities. Yeah. So close, so similar in a lot of ways. Yeah. But building those bridges between Liverpool and Manchester.
Yeah, I think it's people. I was speaking to Pat earlier and he said the same things. It's people. Good people in life are rare, let alone in boxing, which is such a cutthroat industry, you know, business. And good people are hard to find in life, trustworthy people who... But straight-talking people, you would often think, I'm quite a straight-talking person, anyone who knows me, I think, would say. And Pat certainly is as well. And you would think that straight-talking people would clash, right? And that they would annoy each other, end up fighting.
Disagree, yeah.
But when straight-talking people disagree, there's honesty there. So you tend to get on better, I think, with that type of person. You know exactly where you are with them. You can have words, but we're all honest with each other, and it's straightforward, so it's great. Where we'd like to go for the future, for the next couple of years, obviously working with Pat's been brilliant, and he's opened doors for us. He didn't have to. He's just you said it before, he likes to help people, he does, and he you know, he's a great man to have on your side. For the future, for those 3 boxers who are immediately sort of signed now and ready to go, for Nick Ball, I'd like him to ideally be boxing for titles this year, next year at the latest. He's ready to go. He's 13-0, Nick, very exciting, crowd pleasing style. Andrew Cain's 6-0, all knockouts, but could quite easily box for titles at a real high level already, and we've yet to see what that kid's capable of. He's a brilliant young prospect. And then Bradley Strand, similar. Bradley's only had 2 or 3. I think he's had 4 now, actually. I think I'm doing him with the serves. I think he's had 4. But so Brad just needs to get 4 or 5 fights behind him to just keep adjusting the lane in the pros, and then coming up to that title level maybe in the next 18 months or so. Then I've got the good ones I mentioned from the amateurs, that conveyor belt who'll be coming through after them, and then whatever else is coming through, you know, beyond that as well. So it's hopefully this time next year, fingers crossed, best case scenario, we'll have an Olympic champion. Yeah. Maybe a British champion, maybe a couple of other title fights coming up just behind that, you know, so it's good. It's a good time. Yes.
Absolutely, the future's looking bright for boxing, and we're coming out allegedly of lockdown. Yeah. So hopefully that should help get those small hall shows back on the road. Yeah. Is there anything else that you'd like to add before we close?
Not really, just those small hall shows don't get the credit they deserve. You know, you're in there and it's a cauldron, and the crowd's bleeding down your neck, and for the boxers coming up, it's brilliant. You know, when you turn pro and you go on the big shows, usually, yes, you'll know, like you're on it maybe 6 o'clock in the night. The show doesn't really start proper until 7, and you're in a massive arena and there's no one there. There's your 100 supporters down the back somewhere, but it's quiet in there. It's odd place to sort of learn. When it's the fire, when you're in the cauldron, I think it gives such an advantage. All these shows that Pat's been putting on, that we've been putting on, that they develop the fighters in the right way. It's old school approach, but it's tried and tested, and it works. Yeah, it works. And all the boxers want to be on the glamour. They all want to be on the telly. But you have to realise you have to pay your dues so that when you get there, you can stay there and you can make the most of it, rather than getting thrown in. You know what I mean? Which is, a boxer should think he's unbeatable. Should be ready for any challenge. That's the way you want them thinking.
Mindset.
But then you as the coach understand, look, where the pitfalls are, and that no one's unbeatable. But you want them thinking that way. You want the confidence. So you're building it up, but you're sort of making careful decisions for them at the same time. You know, so it's a tricky one in my field, but it's fun anyway.
Yeah. So thank you very much for being a guest on the Black Flash Boxing channel. How can we find you, the viewers? How can we find you on social media?
This is the thing, you see. I'm not massive on social media. The club's got a Facebook page and that's it.
Okay.
But I've got young Nick Ball's going to be doing some work for us. He's going to set us up an Instagram sort of page and whatever else. He's going to do our social media for the future. So watch this space, I'd say there, you know.
So thank you very much for being a guest. Thank you very much for listening to the Black Flash Boxing channel.